Okay, so let's start with the first part of the chapter and we will primarily look at the types of farming. So, first on the introduction. Now, India is an agriculturally important country. Two-thirds of its population is engaged by agricultural activities. Agriculture is a primary activity which produces most of the food that we consume. And besides food grains, it also produces raw material for various industries. So, two key things. One is that it is a source of food grains for India and the raw material for the industries. Now, some agricultural products like tea, coffee, spices are also exported. So, there is also an element of contribution of agriculture to the economy through the means of export. So, these are the three key things. Now, let us look at the types of farming. So, agriculture is an age old economic activity in the country. Over these years, cultivation methods have changed systematically or significantly depending upon the characteristics of physical environment, technological know how, and socio-cultural practices. And farming varies from subsistence to commercial type. At present, in different parts of India, different farming systems are practiced. So, the key idea here is that agriculture is an age old economic activity and the cultivation methods they change over a period of time depending on the changes in the environment, depending on the advances in technology, as well as the changing in the social as well as cultural practices related to the agriculture. Also, the type of farmings varies from subsistence to commercial type, and we will look into these types of agriculture in the following topics. So, let us look at the first one, which is primitive or subsistence farming. So, this type of farming is still practiced in a few pockets of India. Primitive subsistence agriculture is practiced on small patches of land with the help of primitive tools like hoe, dhow, and digging sticks, and family community labor. This type of farming depends upon monsoon, natural fertility of the soil, and suitability of other environmental conditions to the crops grown. So the key idea here is gives you some key characteristics of the primitive substance farming. First is that it is not practiced widely, only in a few pockets of India. Uh, the kind of land used is small patches of land. The tools that are used are very primitive, like hoe, dhow, digging sticks, and the labor or the people that are involved, it mostly is family and community. In terms of the environmental condition, it depends on the monsoon and natural fertility of the soil and the sustainability of other environmental conditions. It is a type of a slash and burn agriculture. How is it done? So farmers they clear a patch of land and produce cereals and other food crops to sustain their family. So this is why it is called primitive sustenance, which means the primary objective is to sustain their family. Now, what happens when the soil fertility decreases? The farmers shift and clear a fresh patch of land for cultivation. This type of shifting allows nature to replenish the fertility of the soil through natural processes. Now, an important idea is that land productivity, which means the amount of crops that you get from this kind of farming practice or agriculture, is low as the farmer does not use modern methods like fertilizers or any other modern equipments. And this is known by different names in different parts of the country. So it is known as jhuming in the northeastern states like Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Nagaland. Um, Pamlau in Manipur. It's known as Deepa in Bastar district of Chhattisgarh and in Andaman and Nicobar Islands as well. Now, if you look at a little bit more information on zooming, again, it's known as slash and burn agriculture, known as milpa in Mexico and Central America, conuco in Venezuela, roca in Brazil, masole in Central Africa, ladang in Indonesia, and rain Vietnam. So it's not something that is just practiced in India, it's also practiced in other parts of the world. Now, in India, this primitive cultivation is also called by some names like Bewar or Dahiya in Madhya Pradesh, Podu or Penda in Andhra Pradesh, Pamadabi or Koman or Bringa in Odisha, Kumari in Western Ghats, Valre or Valtre in southeastern Rajasthan, Khil in the Himalayan belt, Kurua in Jharkhand, and Jhuming in the northeastern region. And this is a good picture here, which just shows an example of how people burn some of the patches of the land and then they will be cultivating it. Now let us look at the next type of farming, which is the intensive subsistence farming. So this type of farming is practiced in areas of high population pressure on land. It is labor intensive, where high doses of biochemical inputs and irrigation are used for obtaining higher production. So clearly there is a focus on the production. It's clearly used in areas where you have high population pressure on the land, and it is labor intensive. Okay, though the right of inheritance leading to the division of land among successive generations has rendered landholding size uneconomical, you should look up for the right of inheritance, which means every time next generation of kids inherit land from their parents, agriculture land, it gets divided further and further, and subsequently it becomes so small that it becomes uneconomical to really do farming on those small pieces of land. Now, the farmers, despite all of this, the farmers continue to take maximum output from the limited land in the absence of an alternative source of livelihood. So, there is an enormous pressure on the agricultural land. So, this is just some ideas on the intensive farming. Then we have the third type of farming, that is the commercial farming. And the main characteristic of this type of farming is the use of higher doses of modern inputs. For example, high yielding variety seeds, chemical fertilizers, insecticides, and pesticides in order to obtain higher productivity. It's all about higher productivity. The degree of commercialization of agriculture varies from one region to another. For example, rice is a commercial crop in Haryana and Punjab, but in Odisha it is a subsistence crop. So you might want to think why these are different. Please do some Google search after this and look at what are the causes of this difference. Now let's look at this new concept of plantation. So plantation is a type of a commercial farming. In this type of farming, it's a single crop that is grown on a very large area. The plantation has an interface of agriculture and industry. Plantations cover large tracts of land using capital intensive inputs with the help of migrant laborers, and all the produce is used as raw material in respective industries. So main thing is it's a single crop, large area, migrant labor, and there is a tie with agriculture and industry where all of the produce is used as raw material in different industries. So let's look at some of the plantations that are carried out in India. So in India, tea, coffee, rubber, sugarcane, banana, and some other varieties are important plantation crops. So tea in Assam and North Bengal, coffee in Karnataka are some of the important plantation crops grown in these states. Since the production is mainly for a market, a well developed network of transport. So, this is another thing that you do need a network of transport and communication connecting the plantation areas, processing industries, and markets. Okay, so these are the three things. You need a network to transport the materials from where they are produced to where they are processed as well as where they are consumed. Okay, and therefore having this network that connects these three areas, the markets, the producing, the producer, the processors, and the consumers, is very important for the success and the development of this plantations. So here is an example of banana plantation in southern part of India, and as you can see, right, it's just one crop, it's only bananas. Similarly, you can see a bamboo plantation in the northeast. Now in the next video, we will look at the cropping pattern in India.